Howdy. I made several videos where I talked about Saturn. One of them even has 100 views. Whoa! What an achievement. Imagine if Saturn would ignite a year ago. 8 views. And I have to say, I don't really care after all how many people watch my videos because I don't get any money out of that. It doesn't matter. Those who find my channel, those who somehow find interest in the stuff I talk about, very cool. But, it's just my things in a way. And like I said earlier, like making videos is just a part of what I do. But anyway, there's a reason why I talk about the Saturn thing. Imagine if Saturn would ignite. I just say this once again. Because I stumbled across this now several times. And since I stumbled now across this once again, I thought I'll make a video about this. Outer space. Saturn is doing something never seen before in our solar system. The secret has been hiding in plain view for 40 years. I haven't read this yet, but let's go and give it a go or something. By Dean Murray via SWNS. Saturn's rings are heating its atmosphere, according to the new study. I don't think so. It must be the other way around. The rings are just an effect of something much bigger. And not the other way around. If it would be the other way around, there would have been first the rings and then plop, we would have Saturn there. But it's the other way around. There has been first this planetary body, which has its own history. I will put links below about Proto-Saturn and the Golden Age. And when time began, when there was a possibility to measure time in the first place. Because back in the days, there wasn't a possibility to measure day and night because there wasn't any. That's why they didn't have any real time. At least to the tales from the ancients. That's why it's like when time began, that's a significant chapter in planetary history. Let me explain it quickly. We are now our solar system, as the name says already. The sun is in the center. And we are within the sun's, heliopause? The biggest bubble of the sun. There are many of those. Like Earth has magnetosphere and troposphere and asthenosphere and whatever spheres. There's many, many, many spheres. But back in the days, we were confined within Saturn's, was it like photosphere or something? I don't really remember now the exact names about these things, but the thing is that we were confined within Saturn's sphere, which had this purple glow, purple hue, or purple. Yeah, I think it was in a way purple. There wasn't day or night. It was the same luminosity all the time. And then stuff happened. There has been this Tiamont and Venus epochs in time and history, which sparked many mythological stories. And one of them is the mythological creature, dragon, which has counterparts in nature, so to say. Because very often the dragon is represented with a bear, a lion, a griffin, a unicorn, an eagle. Yeah, there might be some others. But you will find dragons all over the place. If you watch my videos, you will probably notice that I every now and then point out that there's a dragon. But anyway, let's go to the article. It doesn't make too much sense just to talk without any script or something because, it's a little bit sketchy. But anyway, my channel is a bit sketchy. Maybe a part of the sketchiness is my unwillingness to entertain anyone. This is not entertainment. Really not. I just try to provide information and try to point out some connections between those things I stumble across, find, or they find me, or however you want to take it. But it's up to you what you make out of this information. And of course, if I find something which is somehow repetitive, which might be actual, which might have some kind of impact onto society, onto whatever stuff, I probably mentioned it many times. Like mountain water, for example. White rivers. It's still, if it's a theory or whatever you want to call it, it's still under construction. It doesn't stop. It's going on all the time. Like yesterday, I think I made my last video where I mentioned white rivers and mountain water. I could do many of these every day. Every day. But there are many other things. At the moment, I'm once again reading about peat. But now let's go into that because that's what was the whole point of making a video about Saturn. Scientists announced their finding on March 30th, which they say has never been seen before in our solar system. First of all, before we go any further, we are talking about NASA and this kind of gravitational paradigm. The gravitation is the force, If you continue this gravitational theory further, you will end up in black holes and stuff like that. I tell you, that's the wrong rabbit hole to go to. Another thing is that here they say never seen before in our solar system. There might be two reasons for that. First of all, there is the interplanetary dust cloud coming in, or it's already in our solar system. There is more dust in our solar system than has been before because of the 12,000 year cycle and stuff like that. Second, maybe they have just better equipment to see the stuff. It might be quite likely that it's a mix of both of them. But anyway, we had changes on Neptune with the storm, and there's changes going on almost every planet, or it's confirmed on almost every planet, except I think Mercury is the last one which still needs some confirmation. But the sun is included, even though it's a star, but it's our solar system. There's just one, as far as I know, which is missing with a confirmation of some recent change, which would indicate that the interplanetary dust cloud is already here, and it will increase, and it is a part of why the sun goes micronova. And it tells about the stories from the ancients with the petroglyphs, which are plasma instabilities which they have seen in the sky. But anyway, there is a NASA spokesman said the secret has been hiding in plain view for 40 years, but it took the insight of a veteran astronomer to pull it all together within a year. Yeah, pulled it all together in 10 minutes. Using observations of Saturn from NASA's Hubble Space Telescope and retired Cassini probe, in addition to the Voyager 1 and 2 spacecraft and the retired International Ultraviolet Explorer mission. The discovery: Saturn's vast ring system is heating the giant planet's upper atmosphere. I don't know. You know, those rings are maybe 10 meters in thickness. They are very thin, so there is not too much material or whatsoever compared to the rest of the atmosphere of the whole planet. But since they have this gravitational paradigm, they assume that it goes from the outside to the inside. Like, you know, the material. But I think it has to do something with the charge. If this is Saturn, and these are the rings, and this is the energy which goes through the Birkeland currents, and if this is increasing, there has to be expected something going on here too. Maybe it goes like that. Or maybe the whole thing lights up. Like I have been talking at the really beginning. Because it has the possibility to do so as recorded in ancient history. There's, I don't know, is there any reason why you shouldn't do it again? You know? You have to take all the possibilities into account. If you don't, you're probably not enough open-minded. But that's up to every individual. And like I said, I put links below to the videos. Check at least Wal Thornhill's video. Don't care too much about mine videos, but watch his video at least, if you want to know more about Saturn and stuff. But anyway, the phenomenon has never been seen in the solar system. It's an unexpected interaction between Saturn and its rings that potentially could provide a tool for predicting if planets around other stars have glorious Saturn-like ring systems too. Scientists say the telltale evidence is an excess of ultraviolet radiation seen as spectral line of hot hydrogen in Saturn's atmosphere. Yeah, how much does it need to heat up until it gets to the point where it ignites? I don't know. It won't, I wouldn't expect it to go like slowly, just like it would start to glow more and more. I think it just like charges and charges until at one point, like plasma does, it establishes the next, let's call it stage, and then it's just there. NASA said the bump in radiation means that something is contaminating and heating up the atmosphere from the outside. Yes, the Birkeland currents. Not the rings. The rings are just yeah, I probably should. Like, let me show you a picture. For that reason, like, I just found out the first one, and it says Wikipedia. You know? I still think you can follow the white rabbit also on Wikipedia. You just have to. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's a picture here. Maybe we have to read first what it says. The complex self-constricting magnetic field lines and current paths in the Birkeland current that may develop in a plasma. Now let's just draw on that here. Here is Saturn. And these are the rings. And there's a Birkeland current flowing through it. So now let's go back to the article. Heating up the atmosphere from the outside. Yeah, but that's just what I think, so I really hope that you make your own research. And if you find something else or whatever, tell me. I'm always eager to learn. The most feasible explanation is that icy ring particles raining down onto Saturn's atmosphere causing this heating. Yeah, ice particles causing the heating. This could be due to the impact of micrometeorites, solar wind particle bombardment, solar ultraviolet radiation, or electromagnetic forces picking up electrically charged dust. All this happens under the influence of Saturn's gravitational field pulling particles into the planet. Yes, like I said earlier. But the gravitation is tied to the charge. When NASA's Cassini probe plunged into Saturn's atmosphere at the end of its mission in 2017, it measured the atmospheric constituents and confirmed that many particles are falling in from the rings. Lofty Ben Yaffel of the Institute of Astrophysics in Paris and the Lunar and Planetary Laboratory, University of Arizona, is author of a paper published on March 30th in the Planetary Science Journal. Ben Yaffel said, though the slow disintegration of the rings is well known, its influence on the atomic hydrogen of the planet is a surprise. From the Cassini probe, we already knew about the rings' influence, however, we knew nothing about the atomic hydrogen content. Everything is driven by ring particles cascading into the atmosphere at specific latitudes. They modify the upper atmosphere, changing the composition, and then you also have collisional processes with atmospheric gases that are probably heating the atmosphere at a specific altitude. Maybe it has also something to do with the Markov convection. If the voltage plot in the Birkeland current is linearly decreasing slope as shown in the previous slide, then positive ions will be accelerated outward and create a high temperature region at the outer boundary of the Birkeland current. Neutral atoms of all elements will diffuse into the Birkeland current, but elements with the highest ionization values, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, will be more likely to be found in the hotter fringe of the BC. Elements with the lowest values of ionization, voltage, iron, silicon, magnesium. Is it magnesium? Yeah, I think so. If it's not, I'm sorry. Will be at the center. So now, I showed this before, we have north and south. So basically, this is 90 degrees turned towards you, the Birkeland current, because it usually, or at the moment, it flows like this through our planet. That's why we have the poles. So this is turned 90 degrees. You're watching into a Birkeland current. But I think we have probably, it could be that we have some kind of plasmoid at the center, so we have to expect the Birkeland current being a sphere and not a tube. That's why I turned it around. And as it happens so, on Earth, for the example of Earth, H and O, oxygen and hydrogen, are on the outer side. Maybe that's the reason why planet Earth is blue. If we are more far out from the sun and a gas giant, the things are maybe different. Because Earth is not a gas giant. But anyway, let's go back to the article, because otherwise we won't make it to the end ever. Ben Yaffel's conclusion required pulling together archival ultraviolet light observations from 4 space missions that studied Saturn. This includes observations from the 2 NASA Voyager probes that flew by Saturn in the 1980s and measured the UV excess. At the time, astronomers dismissed the measurements as noise in the detectors. Yeah, can't be. Next. Yeah. Science shouldn't work like that, you know. But anyway, it does. The Cassini mission, which arrived at Saturn in 2004, also collected UV data on the atmosphere over several years. Additional data came from Hubble and the International Ultraviolet Explorer, which launched in 1978 and was an international collaboration between NASA, ESA, and the United Kingdom Science and Engineering Research Council. Yeah, rather stiff-minded people, probably. But the lingering question, NASA said, was whether all the data could be illusory or instead reflected the true phenomenon on Saturn. Ignorance. The space agency wrote, the key to assembling the jigsaw puzzle came in Ben Schaffel's decision to use measurements from Hubble Space Telescope imaging spectrograph. Its precision observations of Saturn were used to calibrate the archival UV data from all 4 other space missions that have observed Saturn. He compared the SES UV observations of Saturn to the distribution of light from multiple space missions and instruments. Lofty Ben Yaffel said, when everything was calibrated, we saw clearly that the spectra are consistent across all the missions. This was possible because we have the same reference point from Hubble on the rate of transfer of energy from the atmosphere as measured over decades. Decades? It was really a surprise for me. I just plotted the different light distribution data together and then I realized, wow, it's the same. 4 decades of UV data cover multiple solar cycles and help astronomers study the sun's seasonal effects on Saturn. By bringing all the diverse data together and calibrating it, Ben Yaffel found that there is no difference to the level of UV radiation. At any time, at any position on the planet, we can follow the UV level of radiation, he said. This points to the steady ice rain from Saturn's ring as the best explanation. Ben Yaffel continues, we are just at the beginning of this ring characterization effect on the upper atmosphere of a planet. We eventually want to have a global approach that would yield a real signature about the atmospheres on distant worlds. How about ours? One of the goals of this study is to see how we can apply it to planets orbiting other stars. Call it a search for exorings. Yeah. Earth has some too. They are probably not visible yet. Maybe there is something going on. They can become visible. Aurora Equatorialis or something. I don't know. But I leave it here. This was a very long video. But anyway. If you have watched it until this point, you are probably really on the search for something. As I am. Thank you. Bye.